Amorim has told us that his United team has improved, but exactly how, where and if at all. Previously, I have highlighted how United go into the wing-backs too often, too early, straight into a sideline press, often resulting in losing the ball. Compare this to Amorim Sporting, who mainly use the wing-backs as decoys to open up pockets in these half-space channels. We have definitely seen a move away from the predictability of playing the ball across the backline into a sideline press, to Amorim's Sporting patterns using the wing-backs as decoys. From here, 95% of the time, that would go into the wing-back, and Sociedad are already reading that with the full-back pushing up. And if Mazraoui did, we would have got squeezed on the touchline. With the ball going into Casemiro, it stands the full-back up, but this possession diamond is exactly what Amorim employed at Sporting between the outside centre-back, the 6, the wing-back and 10. So although Casemiro is being pressed, the positional aspect of Amorim's tactics gives Casemiro 2 first-time passing options to get out to the pressure. This is against City. As Maguire plays the ball to Yoro, he puts his arm out to go back to the keeper. I actually like this because he's aware of City's press and what the drill is if there isn't any progression on. Go back to the keeper. We have this possession diamond again, and Yoro can see that De Bruyne and Foden are pressing, leaving Ugarte free with Silva off the press. But this is really interesting. As Yoro plays the ball to Ugarte, Silva and Foden go out to Dalot, thinking that's where the next ball is going. Probably because that is what City's analysts would have told them. United go into the wing-backs all the time, but Ugarte holds on to the ball and opens his body up. Now he's dangerous, looking forward on a high line, and because of that, Foden and Silva come back in field, leaving Dalot free. Ugarte plays it out to Dalot, who has this corridor into Højlund. As he plays the ball, Garnacho is making this third man run off Højlund, and Højlund plays him in. That move started by playing the ball into pressure and then trusting the positional play of Amorim's system, manipulating City's decision making to create space, and on this occasion it worked. In this example, Yoro is square on, so no predictability in terms of where the ball is going. Amorim's positional setup is there, with the 6 and wing back on the same lateral line and a 10 in the pocket, and United play through the press. This is class and reminiscent of what Sporting centre-backs did for Amorim. Heaven has this easy ball out wide, but despite this inside pressure, he chops back in, plays the ball to Onana, who needs to see and play that pass, but punts long and gives the ball away. But the way Heaven turned down the predictable pass, manoeuvred out of that pressure to create this press-beating pass option is reminiscent of the subtle changes of direction that ran through Amorim's Sporting side. Compare that to this example I showed in another video demonstrating how the lack of subtlety make United predictable. As the ball comes to Maguire, if he controls the ball there, that will stand the presser, taking the momentum out of it and give him multiple passing options. But Maguire lets the ball run across his body to buy himself time on the press. That kept the momentum in Leicester's press. Maguire predictably pushes the ball into Mazraoui, straight into Leicester's sideline press. We get squeezed and lose the ball. And these habits are dying hard. Like the Maguire example, if Mazraoui controls it there, it stands the press up because of the options he has available to him. So the press can't commit, but he lets the ball run across his body, and now there is only one way to go, and we are squeezed on the touchline. Now, the Leicester game epitomised the issues of going into the wing-backs too early in the build-up play. De Ligt played right centre-back and received the ball 13 times in this build-up phase, where he had both the option of the wing-back and the keeper. Out of those 13 situations, he played the ball into the wing-back 8 times. We gave the ball away 6 times within 1 to 3 passes. Heaven played left centre-back and received the ball 21 times in this build-up phase, where he had both the option of the wing-back and the keeper. Out of those 21 situations, he only played the ball into the wing-back 4 times. But out of those 4, we still gave the ball away twice within 1 to 3 passes. Out of 12 times going into the wing-back on both sides, when the recycle with the keeper was on, we gave the ball away 8 times. 2 of those giveaways on De Ligt's side led to the 2 chances Leicester had in the first half, and the second chance highlighted the difference between Heaven and De Ligt. Heaven is on the ball, but despite Dalot being free, he doesn't even entertain going out to him, which is in keeping with Amorim's Sporting methods. In the same phase of play, he shapes to go out to Dalot, but cuts inside, and goes out to De Ligt. With De Ligt on the ball, he has the option to chop and go back to Onana, but despite Leicester's aggressive press, he goes into Mazraoui. We give the ball away leading to this chance. Player profile in the outside centre-back positions is crucial. Heaven under pressure is comfortable changing the direction of play, where De Ligt under pressure tends to play the way he is facing, making him far more predictable, just like Maguire and Mazraoui letting the ball run across their body. Essentially, unless United have serious injury issues, De Ligt can't play outside centre-back. In the middle of the three, I thought he played quite well against Real Sociedad, but if he ends up back out on the right, it will limit United in the build-up phase. I mentioned earlier that I've criticised United for going into the wing-backs too often, but when they are there, there's this tendency to keep going the same way into sideline presses and losing the ball, despite the opportunity to recycle through the keeper, as we've seen with Amorim Sporting. But this was an interesting period of play during the Forest game. Yoro goes into Dalot, but with nothing obvious on, he doesn't force it, and via Yoro, they go back to Onana. From Onana, we go back into Dalot via Yoro. From here, Dalot could potentially play this into Ugarte, but he is being pressed. He remains patient and goes back to Onana again via Yoro. For the third time, it goes out to Dalot via Yoro, and this time Casemiro finds a pocket and we beat the press. This is uninspiring footage, but demonstrates United show more patience in waiting for the right pass and using the keeper to recycle the ball, which was a key part of Amorim's build-up play at Sporting. At various times, the distances between United's back three has been more stretched across the pitch than Sporting's, and was most emphasised against Arsenal. Visually, the players look isolated. The greater distances the ball has to travel makes it easier to react to United's patterns. Since then, we have seen this greater compactness in most of the games, so hopefully that is lesson learned by Amorim. In this example, we can see the distances are shorter between the back three, and with Casemiro dropping into this pocket, the shorter passing distances make it harder for the press to disrupt the patterns. As the ball goes into Casemiro, we can see Garnacho in that 10 pocket and Dalot out wide. With the space Casemiro had, he could have turned on that ball and took advantage of that. But the point is, the passing connections are a lot tighter and accessible. As the ball goes back, we can see Xerxes and Fernandes in positions to accept the ball via this channel. 2 quick passes and United beat the press. This move encapsulates a lot of the improvement in United's build-up play we have just been through. Heaven's control of the ball keeps him square on, giving him these passing options. He moves around the ball as though he is going out to Dorgu. That moves Sociedad's press out. He chops back and recycles through Onana. We can see how going back to Onana has drawn Sociedad up the pitch, and he plays the ball out to Mazraoui. Mazraoui shapes to go out to Dalot, but chops back and goes back to Onana again. Onana goes back into Heaven, and we can see the space created from moving the ball from one side to the other. With Dorgu in acres, Heaven now goes out wide. Dorgu is looking up into the space created further up the pitch by United drawing Sociedad up the pitch, going back to Onana. He plays this pass into Højlund, who lays it off to Xerxes, and United have beaten the press in a very Amorim way. That move should remind you of this Sporting move I showed in a previous video, demonstrating all the intricacies of Sporting's build-up play. The two moves are almost identical. Moving on to United's attempt to get into the final third from the middle third. This corridor into the front line is exactly the path Amorim Sporting look for. The issue here is the positioning of Højlund. He should be on this defender, offering himself for this pass, and then he would have this third man pass option for the next phase. And to show this isn't pie in the sky, this is an example of a very similar move coming off of Sporting. Path into the front man, and then a layoff to a third man runner. This is an example of a typical Amorim setup, a forward pivot showing for the ball, and then the midfield making third man runs off that ball, offering the next passing option. Yoro plays it into Garnacho, and then he lays it off. But these next examples are confusing to me. Exactly the same situation. Yoro has this pass into Garnacho, who is dropping into that pocket, and we have the two midfield players off Garnacho for the next phase, but Yoro goes wide. Again, we have this forward pivot and third man run setup, but Yoro carries the ball into the flank. Now this is another example of Sporting's patterns in a similar situation. In this last example, we have the two midfield players in position for potential third man runs. We have a path into that pocket, but no one is showing again. So although United's build-up play in the defensive third has improved, the positional play and decision making hasn't fully clicked in the mid and final third. This middle third into final third against a low defensive block hasn't clicked yet. The Devil's verdict is, Amorim has improved United within the context of how he wants to play, but to what extent is subjective. Although his patterns are coming through at times, the consistency isn't there. The worry for Amorim will be, the proof over the last 5 to 10 years is, a system reliant on positional play is easier to implement and more sustainable. The fact that players are either unable or not fully engaged with his methods comes through, just as we feel we have seen an upturn. But what do you think? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.